What's up, Nubitons? It's Jess. Welcome back to Cystic Arts. And you know how when you're in the hospital, you always wonder if it's possible to die of boredom? Yeah, me too, every time. And I can only imagine that trying to keep kids entertained in the hospital is a monumental task. So I thought I would start a series testing out some different kits and things for kids to see how well they worked and if it might be something that would be practical to bring a kid that's in the hospital to give them a little something to do. So I've just been kind of keeping my eyes out wherever I go, looking for kits that I thought looked neat, and I found this Dreamcatcher kit at, I believe I found this one at Target. Yes, at Target. Off the top of my head, I don't remember how much it costs, but it wasn't super expensive. And of course, it will be linked down below. So, I have been known to bring a Dreamcatcher to the hospital and hang it off of my IV pole. So when I saw this, I just snatched it right up. I thought it would be cool. So this is rated for 8 years and older. You could probably do it with a younger kid with some supervision or a little assistance. I have no idea what all is in here, so let's just crack it open. Okay. So, looks like you have a little instruction booklet. That's good. No surprise there. Looks like this. And I'm just going to go through and follow these instructions as if I have no clue what I'm doing, because really I don't. How does this open? You have a bag of all your little doodads. There we go, there's the fold. Just gonna dump these out. Ooh, so many things. Come on, Pink Feather, you gotta come to the party too. Okay. So we have a big hoop and a little hoop, so it looks like you should have enough gear here to make 2 dream catchers. A bunch of different feathers. Cool. Bunch of different colors of feathers. A bunch of little like pom-pom things. Different sizes and colors of those. And some like glittery paper feathers in different colors. So I'm just sorting everything into like respective piles of what I've got here. Looks like one little glittery heart. And let's see, a couple different little tag things. This one says dream big, and this one says follow your dreams. And then you have a couple of like straw type things, and it looks like that's kind of what they're going to be used to like hang by, I guess. Let's see, do they have any pictures of the finished deal? Oh, okay, on the front cover. So it looks like the straws are up at the top here, and I'm not sure I like that. I might leave those off and just do loops at the top. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to open this little package of yarns to... So it looks like you got 3 different colors of yarn and 3 different colors of embroidery floss. And it looks like the yarn you wrap around the outside of the hoop, And the embroidery floss is what you use to do the middle strings of the dream catcher. So I've got those. And the only thing it looks like so far that you're going to need that doesn't come in this kit is some scissors. So let's see. Step 1, cut 18 inches of purple yarn and set it aside for step 7. Cut 18 inches of yellow yarn, say that 10 times fast, and set it aside for step 13. So there's no like ruler or tape measure or anything here. I want to pretty much follow the directions to the letter. So I just have a standard like 12-inch ruler here. So I'm going to just do that. So cut 18 inches of purple and 18 inches of yellow. So I'm just going to measure that out. 12. 18. So I just measured that, and then since this asks for the same length, I can just take my yellow yarn with my piece of purple and just measure it out that way and cut it the same length. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside. Step 2, double knot the remaining purple yarn onto the big hoop. Okay. Oops. Let me tilt the camera down so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so double knotted the purple yarn onto the big hoop. Wrap until you have covered 4 inches. Double knot the end of the hoop and trim. Optional, place a piece of double-sided tape on the hoop before wrapping. So that would just help it stick. I'm not going to do that because chances are you're not going to have double-sided tape when you're in the hospital. So, I'm just going to, as I wrap, I'm just going to put my finger on there. Okay, so I'm guessing that's about 4 inches. I don't know how they think you're supposed to know that. How are you supposed to tie it? You know, the next step, okay. Next step is cut 5 yards of the blue yarn, double knot next to the purple, and wrap the rest of the hoop. I'm just going to tie the blue yarn to the purple yarn? I don't know how else to do it. Am I just missing something incredibly simple? Like, anyway. Because it just has you do, like, part of the hoop purple and part of the hoop blue. So why not just tie them together and call it a day? You know? You know what I mean? And it says cut 5 yards of blue yarn. But it just has you do the rest of the hoop blue. So I don't see why there would be a need to measure and cut 5 yards of it if you're just gonna do the rest of the hoop anyway. And plus, like, again, if you're in the hospital, you may or may not be able to measure that accurately. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna knot those together and do that. Good enough for me. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take the tails of the yarn and kind of hold it like so, and just like wrap the blue yarn around those tails. Does that make sense? Get rid of this purple. So I'm just going to do a few wraps and then just cut off the tails like that. Okay, now that I'm getting toward the end here, you can see that this yarn is a disaster. I would have like put the yarn in balls instead of these like bunches, or just like wrapped it around a piece of cardboard and have it kind of like a spool situation so it doesn't get all tangled. I know that would be more time and money on the part of the company that makes this, so I understand why they didn't. But if you wanted to like get this for a kid, I would recommend maybe doing that ahead of time, just so you don't end up with a whole mess of yarn at the end. So now that I'm back toward the purple side, I'm just going to cut this off and leave a little bit of a tail, and then just tie the purple and blue ends together. Like so. Set aside this blue. And then what is the next step? Cut the yellow thread in half set 1/2 aside for step 24. So I don't like the way they have this for this step because it's wound up like this. So you're gonna have to unwind the whole thing and then I'm gonna bring the two ends together. And then go down and see I'm ending up with a tangly mess. Okay, now I've found the halfway point and I can cut it, and then I have to separate it. Set 1/2 aside. How hard would it have been to just have the thread in 2 pieces? That's obnoxious. I don't like that at all. Anyway, double knot the middle of the yellow thread onto the hoop. The middle of the thread. So, not shown. There's no picture of that. And then, okay, so the next step is wrap both strands back and forth to create the dreamcatcher pattern. When finished, double knot ends to hoop and trim. Okay. So I'm just going to put the knot near the tails of the yarn. I still have the tails on here just because it didn't say to trim them off. I guess I can, no big deal. And trim those off. Okay, so now I'm going to string this through here. Again, you got to find the halfway point. So you got to bring the two ends together. And then pull this through. Find the halfway point. And this is really long to be making a knot. So I'm going to put the knot right where the knot is for the yarn, I guess. Didn't say a particular way to do it, so I guess that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. There. So, okay. Step 6, wrap both strands back and forth to create the dreamcatcher pattern. So, I guess you're holding the 2 pieces. So, I guess I'll just... No, it just doesn't, So just go back and forth, I guess. When finished, double knot ends to hoop and trim. I feel like these might, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't slide around too much because you got the yarn on there to help grab it. Okay, so when I get to the end, kind of my length of string here, what I'm going to do is take one string and put it through. So you've got one strand on the top and one strand on the bottom, and then I'm going to knot it that way. And I'm going to try to have the knot kind of on the back of the hoop so that it doesn't really show when you hang it up. Make sense? Do you hear me? Do you feel me? Okay. You get on there like so. Okay, knot. Trim the ends. Done. Now, the next step apparently is the hanger. Double knot the middle of the 18-inch purple yarn to the top of the hoop. Okay. My length of purple yarn that I saved. Apparently the top of the hoop is the middle of the purple section, according to them. But you know what? It's your dream catcher. It can be anywhere you want it. But I am just following the instructions that I have. Okay. Use both strands to tie an overhand knot 1/2 inch above the hoop. So it has a little pictograph here of how to do an overhand knot. I don't know that I can explain it very well. Maybe I'll try to find a good video of how to tie an overhand knot on YouTube and link it down below. That sounds good, because I'm not good at explaining how to do that. Okay, did that. I didn't measure 1/2 inch, but you know what, good enough. Cut 3 inches of the paper straw. Double knot the yarn to the middle of the straw. Trim the ends of the yarn. Optional, place a piece of double-sided tape on the straw and wrap to the left and right of the knot. Double knot the ends and trim. Okay, I'm gonna leave out the optional step because again, in the hospital, you ain't too likely to have double-sided tape handy. So 3 inches it says. Handy dandy ruler, 3 inches is right about there. Cut 3 inches of the paper straw, double knot the yarn to the middle of the straw. Trim the ends of the yarn. Okay. So there's that. And next it goes on to basically the same instructions except for the small hoop and oops. So luckily they give you enough stuff here to do 2. But this actually did give me a chance to, I followed the instructions exactly for this one. And there's definitely some things that I would change on it. There were some things that just kind of didn't make any sense. And there was also a couple things where I was like, well, if you just tweaked the way you did that, it would work better. So, let's get into making a little dream catcher. I don't really care for the way that they had you do the thread to make the detail in the middle, because they tell you to like take this, cut it in half, but then like you have to unspool the whole thing. Let's see, where can I find an end? Where's the end? Here's an end. Okay. So you have to like unwind the whole thing and then fold it in half and then find the middle point from there and then cut it, and it's like obnoxious. And then they have you hold it in two. You can see that these like are double thick. There's like 2 strands per wrap, which is fine if you want to do that, but I think it's unnecessary, and it finding the center point of that string is kind of obnoxious, and I can see how a little kid would have a hard time with it and might get frustrated, and you end up with your big old tangled thread. So what I would have done is, first of all, I would again like wrap this in a little ball for your kid in advance. Or you could show them how to do it one time and then have them do the rest. And this is just going to save tangles and headaches. So I've got that. So what I would do is just do it single-stranded. There's really no need to double up. Excuse me. And I'm just going to tie this to my hoop. I'm going to cut the tail off. And then just start wrapping it around however which way I think looks good. So I just don't understand the like double stranding thing. It's really unnecessary for this particular craft thing. So when I'm happy with how that looks, and you can always, if you don't like it how it came out, you can unwind it and fix it. Then you can just tie it off. And I'm just going to go back up to where I started it. And I just realized I should have left that tail on because it would have been easier to make a knot. But if you are like me and you accidentally do it, you can still do this. I'm just going to thread the end of this underneath one of my wraps and bring it up around. Be a little obnoxious, I'm not gonna lie. Should have thought ahead. Should have thought ahead. That's okay. You're not going to be able to see this. I apologize. Just leave the original tail on and use that to tie a knot. It's going to be much easier. I'm sorry, you just can't see this because it's just too close. I'm dealing with thread and my hands are just going to cover it up. So apologies. So I managed a knot though, so we're fine. Cut off the excess. And now this is what we have. Little strings like that. So now we go to the next side of our instructions. we are going to, let's see, and previously it had me cut 4 18-inch pieces of the blue thread for this next step. So you can do that, or you still have a lot of orange thread left, you could use that. There's even still some yellow thread. You can use that. Whatever makes you happy. Oh, actually, I skipped a step where it had me tie a piece of the paper straw onto the top, and that's like how you hang it, I guess. I don't really get the straw. I've never seen a dream catcher that has like this kind of situation at the top. I don't like it. So, personally, myself, I'm just going to take a chunk of the blue yarn and tie it on there. And then just make an overhand knot, which is going to be really hard to probably demonstrate. There's a diagram in the instructions of how to do it. But just do that to make a loop, and that's what I would hang it by. And then just cut off the tails of the thread, or the yarn. Personally, I like that much better. If you want to use the straw, you totally can, but I just don't like it, and I think it's unnecessary. So anyway, back to what we're doing. We're going to make the little feather situations that dangle down. So it says in here, if needed, trim the stems of the real feathers so they are 4.5 inches long. Why? It doesn't, literally does not matter how long this is. And I think it actually looks better if they're slightly different lengths. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. So I just didn't even do that. So I'm just going to lay down my piece of 18-inch blue thread, or whatever color thread you want. And I'm going to put my feather roughly in the middle of that. And do a double knot so that it's secured on there. And then each of your glitter feathers has a hole in the end, and you want to take both pieces of your string and thread it through that hole from the back to the front. So if you're looking at the back, you put the thread through the hole, and it's easier to just do one at a time, I think. So do like that. So then when you slide it down, the glitter side is up. And then it says to tie an overhand knot on that again. So now you have this. You have like so. And this next thing, again, I think is optional. As you can see on my first one, at the ends, it has pieces of that paper straw. And the way it says to do that is to cut a chunk and then slice it. So you basically split it, and then you can just put that over your ends of your feathers. But it's very fiddly, and I found it kind of difficult to do. get that on there. And then plus, of course, with that split there, it could always come off really easily. So I thought, forget that. I took a chunk of straw and I just threaded the string through it. Like so, and then just slid it down over the ends of the feather like that. And at least that way it's not gonna come off of there. And actually I thought it was a little easier than trying to fiddle with the split piece of straw. That's just me. You do it however you like. And then you've got all your little pom-poms. You could leave these off if you wanted to. Personally, I would. I'm not a pom-pom person, but you could put them on there. So I'm just going to show you how to tie them on, but then I'm going to just skip. For the sake of speed, I'm going to skip them for the rest of this. So I just laid it kind of in my string there, and then just take your time and tie it real tight. And again, I just feel like these pom-poms aren't super secure on there. I feel like they could pop out real easily, even if you just ream that knot down really tight. I just don't feel like they're like super secure. But you do you, it's fine. You could tie more than one on there, and it gives you these little itty bitty ones. Personally, to me, I think that's useless. I think those would be so hard to get on there, so I'm not even bothering with those. And so now you just take this and tie it onto your hoop. I'm going to make it a little loose so that it kind of dangles and can kind of blow around. And then just cut off your excess thread. And that's what you have. So I'm going to do another one and put it on here, and I'll be back. Okay, so this is where I'm at now. And then for this little tag thing, it says follow your dreams. There's a little hole on one end, so you could put some thread through and like tie it onto here. This one that says dream big doesn't have a hole. I'm assuming you would just fold it in half and kind of just stick it on there, I guess. I don't think it even really says. Wait, it says there's a little adhesive on here. There's no adhesive on here. What is it talking about? What is it talking about? Fold green banner in half and use a small piece of adhesive to attach the strings on the... Adhesive is double-sided and has release paper on both sides. This is the... Wait. What? This is the only thing it says that has adhesive on it, is this little glittery heart thing. Well. Alright. Okay. Anyway. So I don't know about that. Maybe get some tape. It also says here that you could, and I think all these like other decoration things are optional, and that's fine. You could take some pieces of your straw and split it like before, and then attach it to your strings. Again, these could easily come off, so I would have maybe threaded those through this threaded the string through there before you wrapped it and then just kind of adjust them as you go. Or you could get a little piece of like Scotch tape to put around it so that it won't come undone. So you could do that. It also has like a tassel that you could do and attach onto there. So I guess I can show you how to make a tassel. Let me set these aside. So you have quite a bit of leftover thread of every color to make tassels out of. I'll just do the yellow, I guess. Why not? So it says to cut one 12-inch piece of thread. Gonna measure that out, which is about where that fold is. Okay, and then it says, let's see, cut one 12-inch piece of thread, and cut 15 3-inch pieces of yellow thread. So set this 12-incher aside. So I'm just going to cut one 3-inch piece. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 15. It could be whatever. Okay, I just have some pieces there. I don't know how many. So, then I'm going to take my longer piece and lay that out. I'm going to lay these over that, and I want it to be about in the middle of my short pieces. And I'm going to take this and double knot, excuse me, double knot. Okay, then I'm going to fold my little pieces over. And you could either use the same color or another color. I'm going to use another color just to show you how to do this. I'm just going to take a chunk of it. And I'm gonna, it's a little fiddly. I'm just going to wrap it around a few times, kind of tight. And I got it a little low, so I'm just going to slide it up toward the fold. Make sure it's really tight. And then just knot it. You don't necessarily have to wrap it a couple times. You could just do a nice tight knot. That would be fine. Slow fiddler. Cut off your tails. And then just tie it onto your dream catcher, just wherever. and then cut off the tails. So there's some other like optional decoration things in here that you could do. But let me get to my final review of this doodad. So here's the two little dream catchers that I ended up with. Made each one in a slightly different way. So I don't think they're bad looking. Not authentic looking, but not bad. So overall, my thoughts on this kit, I'm not mad at it. I do think some of the directions are unnecessary, and I think there's a couple of things that could be done slightly different to make it work a little bit better. So I hope my explanation of those things was clear. If not, leave me a question down below. Overall, I think this is probably worth it, and I think it would be a good project for a kid in the hospital or not. But I think definitely in the hospital it would be nice. Just know that you do need some scissors and maybe a ruler or tape measure. The measurements of stuff doesn't have to be precise, and you do end up with quite a bit of like excess yarn and excess like threads, so you have some extra to play with. So you could kind of get an approximation of the measurements and it would still work fine. So this kit will be linked down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to see, not really tutorial, I guess, but review, if you want to see more stuff like this, whether it's for like more kid sets or like sets designed for maybe slightly older people, whatever, if there's something you've been curious about and want to know if it's really worth spending your time and money on, leave me comments down below, or links if you have a specific one in mind would be helpful so that I could get it. And don't forget to subscribe. When we reach 100 subscribers, we're going to have a giveaway, so you don't want to miss out on your chance on that. You must be subscribed in order to enter the giveaway. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.